Hello, good evening and welcome to a first edition of UBC News Tonight. Now, before that, you did watch Uganda the Pearl, where we were having a wildlife encounter at the Queen Elizabeth National Park. And now, before we delve into tonight's news bulletin, let's first take a look at the top stories tonight. In our top stories tonight, Museveni graces Lwengo Muslim District Headquarter fundraiser, contributes 200 million. The 83-kilometer Mutukula Massacre Road construction commences. Oyam woman member of parliament arrested in Doolo voter bribery. And opposition leader Joel Senyonyi calls for investigation into parliamentary financial impropriety. Good evening once again. I'm Lauryn Masika Kazimoto. President Museveni has issued a stern warning to government school head teachers and school management committees to immediately halt the practice of soliciting illegal fees from parents, saying those that don't comply will be dealt with. The president's remarks come amidst ongoing concerns about schools charging unauthorized fees, despite government programs like Universal Primary Education and Universal Secondary Education guaranteeing free education. Museveni said this while addressing residents of Lwengo at Mbirizi Seed School, where he graced the fundraising event for a district Muslim headquarters and health center for. The president contributed 200 million shillings for that cause. He also pledged to deploy the UPDF Engineers Brigade to help with the construction.
So, if you have got Bonabagagaware through commercial agriculture, and others through Emyoga, then you also have all the children going to school. The children of the rich can go to the schools where they pay, but for the vernacular like these ones here, should study free. You heard that the school here was able to get 10 first grades. First grade. So it can work. So if we do that, the whole country will come up.
Tuli wano olwaleero ng'oyagala okuzimba ofiisi za basiraamu za Uganda Muslim Supreme Council. Ensonga eyo excellence enkulu nnyo, ate ne bannaffe ba bishop bonna abazze wano bannaddiini nga naffe tuli mu Interreligious Council tugezaako okubeera ntukwatirako okulabika nti abantu tutambulira wamu nga tutegeeragana. N'olwekyo okuzimba emizigiti, okuzimba amakanisa, okuzimba amasomero, okuzimba amalwaliro, ffenna nga bannayuganda tulina okukwatirako yo excellence okulabika nti eggwanga lino lituuka gye twagala, lituuka n'eyo naawe gy'ogisuubira. Nkuwa obweyamo nti ffe mu Uganda Muslim Supreme Council yo excellence tujja kukola kyonna ekisoboka okulabika nti tukwatirako ku programu ezo ez'okubeera nga tutambulira wamu nga bannayuganda n'okuleetawo emirembe.
President Museveni has commended the educated people for improving the quality of the Uganda People's Defence Forces. He made the remarks at State House Entebbe while delivering a lecture of opportunity to a group of 89 scientists who were taken through a 2-month basic military training at Sarah Kasenyi Training School last year. The scientists included computer scientists, electrical engineers, information technology professionals, software engineers, telecom engineers, mechanical engineers, civil engineers, among others. Out of the 89 scientists, 32 expressed willingness to join the army and continue with the military training. President Museveni informed the scientists that in the past, the army was for the illiterate people and it could not perform, citing it as one of the reasons why the armies of Idi Amin and Uganda National Liberation Army failed. The president was happy to note that the young scientists are coming out as change agents in Uganda. President Museveni also congratulated the scientists who had chosen a path of serving the country through the army. He, however, advised them that they should not join the army forces because he asked them to, but they should do so based on their personal decision. Brigadier General Charity Bainababo informed the president that the scientists undertook training in military law, political education, physical training, skills at arms and basics in Kiswahili. The lecture of the opportunity was also attended by the Chief Transport Officer and Head of Engineering State House, Engineer Shiba Kusasira, and the Commandant of Sarah Kasenyi Training School, Lieutenant Colonel Frank Mugume. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has urged the graduates of the University of Primary Education to utilize knowledge acquired to spur economic transformation. The president was represented by the Vice President, Jessica Lupo, at the International Day of Education and the commemoration of 27 years of UPE.
The team of all the children who recited poems.
The International Education Day was held under the theme, Learning for Lasting Peace. And President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni was represented by the Vice President, retired Major Jessica Lupo.
We need education to improve health and reduce inequalities in society. We need education to achieve gender equality and eliminate cultural barriers. We need education to protect our resources and promote growth and development. And we need education to nurture global citizenship.
Uganda used this day to commemorate the 27 years of Universal Primary Education, UPE, with its achievements. President Museveni challenged beneficiaries of the program to exhibit economic transformation.
Many of our beneficiaries of this program are productive youth who are contributing to the development of this country. Government has continued creating an enabling environment in which its citizens can invest and earn a living.
The Education Minister, Janet Kataha Museveni, was represented by the State Minister for Higher Education, Dr. John Chrysostom Moyengo, who highlighted on critical innovations being undertaken by the ministry to match dynamism in the education sector.
Key milestones of UP program include policies ensuring accessibility to primary education in every parish, infrastructure development, teacher training and recruitment, provision of learning materials and leveraging ICT for improved efficiency and the quality of service delivery.
The Education Ministry commits to review budgetary allocation to focus on ICT installation to match the current fourth industrial revolution. This will produce competitive candidates on the job market.
As we shall continue to focus our interventions on skilling the populace to ensure that Ugandans are equipped with the requisite skills to be able to innovate as well as meet the needs of the ever-dynamic labor market, which in my opinion is a cornerstone for national development.
Education development partners implore government to upscale the education budget and the proper utilization of resources in the sector. Government of Uganda is commended for its education policies, particularly those incorporating refugees.
In fact, the ability of a government to educate its citizens is a great indicator on how well a government is able to serve its citizens. In addition, Uganda should be especially commended for its policies toward refugees and their host communities, Allowing refugees to access services such as the school system shows Uganda's commitment to achieving universal primary education.
UNESCO wants Uganda to prioritize education on its political agenda in arching learning for lasting peace.
It's therefore important that governments and partners maintain education at the top of the political agenda, emphasizing the importance of equitable domestic public financing. Education is the best long-term investment for building peaceful and sustainable societies.
Despite the strides moved in the education sector, the disparity is wide for girl child enrollment to secondary school level. Abdul Nasele Lobwama and Rogers Komagum for UBC.
The reconstruction of the Mutukula border Masaka Road has commenced with the launch of the project by the Prime Minister Robin Nabanja in Chotera district. The 600 billion Uganda shillings project, expected to be completed by the end of the year 2028, is a vital local and regional infrastructure. Take a look.
The Prime Minister Robin Nabanja has launched the reconstruction works of the 83 kilometers Masaka-Mutukula road. Currently in a deplorable state, the road serves as a crucial link between Uganda and Tanzania through the Mutukula one-stop border post.
I want to remind you that the NRM government has built so many roads across the country. Uganda now is connected on Tamaka roads from north to south, from east to west. Tamaka roads. Echo Katumba akyogeddeko. Naye ovuga ku chorus nova ku border paka wa ku border. Echo mukikubire mu ngalo yadde wano wabaddewo obumenye tugenda kutereza.
The Uganda shelling 600 billion project is expected to be completed in 40 months.
The Masaka-Mutukula road is important in as far as regional trade is concerned, but its current state is wanting.
This is a very critical road within the East African community, promoting trade between Uganda and Tanzania mainly, but also facilitating other members of the region. It has taken a while, but it's never too late. We are there because especially our traders and our truckers who have been coming from Tanzania have been complaining about this stretch of the road.
Truck and taxi drivers who frequently use this road urged government to ensure the project is executed to the requisite standards and in the stipulated time frame.
Barabara mbaya sana. Kuna shimu ni nyingi sana.
The most difficult thing on this road which we meet, particularly the time we spent in the road. We know we are time conscious. When we delay in the road, we can't reach any time. So our goods are not going well as such.
As government invests, the public is urged to take advantage of the vital infrastructure to trade locally and regionally.
Tusuubira nti kino eky'oluguudo olwo kigenda okwongeza ku nnyingiza mu maka. Bano ifuna ky'otambuza ku luguudo olwo nga luwedde. Funa ky'otambuza, funa ky'oyiiya ng'omusajja oba omukazi. Ofune ky'otunda, osobole okuyingiza akasente mu nsawo yo.
Costing at least US $1.7 million per kilometer, this project seems by all standards to be a costly venture for the country. The Minister for Works and Transport had this to say regarding to the cost.
I've heard that people are complaining about the cost per kilometer. There is a reason for that. We are not paying the contractor up front. The contractor is pre-financing this project for 2 years without getting a coin from government. Definitely, a person who is investing that much builds in some interest because he's also borrowing the money. He's not getting it from his pocket. So that's why you find the project is seemingly expensive, but when you look at the return on investment, it's worth it.
Dennis Igoa For UBC News in Chowtera.
The role of data exchange and sharing has been highlighted as one of the avenues towards operational efficiency in government ministries, departments, agencies and private sector. This underscores the need for increased participation in data exchange through investment in digital data sharing platforms in public and private entities. Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Dr. Chris Baryomunsi, called for robust cyber security measures to avoid data misuse. We have the details.
Minister comes so that we do this.
In a country like Uganda, where digital revolution is on course, coordination amongst service providers makes efficient the advancing of services.
This conference under the theme Trusted Data Exchange, Driving Digital and Socio-Economic Transformation in Uganda is indeed timely in this digital age, marked by rapid technological advancements, and presents us with the opportunity to delve into the complexities of data exchange with keen understanding of its far-reaching implications.
This is what both government and private entities need to adopt as Uganda seeks the platform to digitize all services.
And indeed, we must appreciate the huge digital divide that exists between the global north and the global south, and therefore we must move very fast, or indeed we must run in order to catch up with the rest of the world in as far as digital transformation is concerned.
This was part of the message that Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Dr. Chris Baryomunsi, carried for stakeholders. All participants agreed with the notion of making data sharing and exchange as the way to go.
Private sector and government can actually work together. There are opportunities on both sides, and UGHub is a stellar example of how that is happening in Uganda. And these are lessons that we also hope to share and promote across the continent as well.
It serves as a testament to our dedication to harnessing technology for the greater good of the nation.
This, however, also requires measures to avoid data misuse.
You see people hacking into systems and be able to freeze people of their money, and a lot of cyber abuse in many forms. And therefore, as we advance in technology, we must alongside build firewalls and other systems to make sure that we counter all of these negative aspects of technology which border on cyber abuse and cyber insecurity.
There are a couple of checks that we do within that process or before we integrate. So we are ensuring that the information is securely shared, and we prevent any miscellaneous or manipulation of that information.
The two-day engagement is co-hosted by National Information Technology Authority Uganda and Digital Impact Alliance. It aims at facilitating knowledge sharing on data exchange and providing insights and best practices to inform Uganda's data exchange journey. Henry Okrut, UBC.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Vote counting is underway in Doolo district after it closed at 4 p.m. Now, according to the preliminary results, the race is tight between the UPC candidate Sarah Aguti Nyakori and the NRM candidate Janet Adongo Elau. The general voting process has been described by the observers as peaceful with few isolated incidents. Philip Aguta reports.
Polling for Doolo Woman MP closed at 4 p.m. and vote counting at polling stations kicked off. According to preliminary results, the race is tight between the UPC candidate Sarah Aguti Nyakori and the NRM candidate Janat Adongo Elau. Most polling stations started at 7 and observers have described Dokolo Woman MP by-election as peaceful with few isolated cases.
We've been here. Actually, we came very early in the morning at around 3 a.m. when we were preparing to dispatch votes, and we witnessed all that activity. And by 6 a.m., our agents, different agents, were already on different polling stations. People came early in some areas, other areas they came slightly late. So voting began a little bit early. There has not been any major problem.
Something that is positive. The voters themselves are peaceful. There's no disruption yet in polling stations, and we are waiting to see whether this situation is going to change.
I haven't seen much deployment. I've seen some policemen. I've not seen the army. I don't know what was discussed at the security meeting, but so far we don't have any incidents.
The observers, however, said the voter turnout was generally low, although it was peaceful.
My observation is that the voter turnout is still low. And I think, something ought to have been done to mobilize the voters to turn up for this by-election.
Dokolo has 14 sub-counties and town councils, 173 polling stations and 19,000 voters. But the race being tight between the UPC and the NRM, it will only be the final count that will determine the winner. Philip Aguta for UBC News in Dokolo.
Now, Oyam District Woman Member of Parliament was today arrested in Dokolo on allegation of voter bribery. Santa Alum and 2 others belonging to the UPC were arrested and delivered to Dokolo CPS for statement recording. Election for Dokolo District Woman Member of Parliament has been a very peaceful one, except a few incidences which were witnessed this evening.
No, please. I am still going to defeat NRM with the 200,000 per village. But why are you persecuting my member? And this is now the time when we need the membership.
That's what is here. The one who brought is here, not me. I'm just in the office.
UPC Party President Jim Akena today had verbal exchanges with the police at Dokolo CPS over the arrest of his party members.
Please, open. I want it open.
Akena had followed up on his election supervisors who were arrested from Rego in Amoma sub-county on allegation of voter bribery.
We have fought hard for this election, and despite whatever the malpractices they have tried to put in place, we are confident of a victory.
Akena accused security of conniving with his opponents to destabilize his on-ground team from protecting UPC votes.
Especially coming from a government which says that they fought for democracy. And then you turn around and you've made an absolute mockery of democracy. This is completely wrong.
It is important that somebody speaks with facts. This is a baseless allegation.
Police later released the Oyam Woman MP but denied the allegation made by the UPC president.
We would request and respect his position to move quietly and go and lodge that complaint than speaking for purposes of being known that he is speaking on media.
Yesterday evening, some members of the FDC party were also arrested by unknown people in the evening. Deputy Treasurer General Moses Atan says his colleagues were later released, but money meant for the agents were taken.
over-resilious cadres who think they can take the law in their hands, arrest somebody. When you dump them in police finds no reason to keep the person. That's what we experienced in Bara and then at Dekonino.
A car belonging to an independent candidate in the race was also arrested in Kangai. It is alleged that the car with the covered number plates had bangers inside.
And the vehicle, as we speak, is impounded with the occupants.
In Amwama sub-county, locals raided the police outpost where allegations of protected ballot papers were being kept in a police truck. Calm was restored after a search.
They opened the bags of our constable who have gone to different polling stations. They poured everything down, and they found nothing. This should be clarified that none of the policemen here got involved in any of the negative reporting that came in the rotas.
Other than these incidences, Doolo District Woman MP by-elections has been hailed by all actors as one of the most peaceful by-elections.
This should be an example of a peaceful democratic election, unlike what I had in Soroti East when I had a similar by-election.
I think that the more people realize that victory is around the corner, then I expect more things to be happening.
Earlier voting materials arrived in time in all polling stations except a few where materials exchanges were witnessed.
Voting started late simply because the biometric machine was not working, but finally it started at 9:01.
Non-functional biometric machines were also replaced.
Yes, we are coming. Be patient.
At the time of filing the story, tallying was still ongoing to determine who replaces Cecilia Ogwal.
FDC.
7 candidates were nominated, but preliminary results put UPC, FDC and NRM ahead of others in the race. Doolo, UBC News.
Joel Senyonyi, the leader of opposition in Parliament, has reached out to the Inspectorate of Government, the Director of Public Prosecutions, the Auditor General and the Financial Intelligence Authority, urging them to take action on allegations of financial impropriety within Parliament. In a statement to the media, Senyonyi emphasized the public's need for answers and stressed the importance of involving these agencies to ensure thorough investigations.
The Office of the Leader of Opposition in Parliament, Joel Senyonyi, has persistently raised concerns about accountability in the Ugandan Parliament by certain members of the public through social media platforms, despite the issues being sidelined during last Friday's sitting, where they were raised by Senyonyi himself. He has proceeded to engage various agencies to address the matter. He has requested the Inspectorate of Government to investigate allegations of financial impropriety and urged the Auditor General to conduct a forensic audit regarding accountability issues.
IGG cannot say the Auditor General is investigating, so let me step aside. No, do not run away from your responsibilities, except if you're saying you're too scared as well. So there's no law, because the mandate of the IGG is very clear. The mandate of the Auditor General is very clear. There's no overlap. I've also written to the Auditor General asking him, number one, to send a new team, not the one that has been auditing Parliament, which is what he sent, because we believe that that particular audit team is just going to do window dressing and cleansing for authenticated records of payments under the Parliamentary Commission and so on, because those are important.
Additionally, Senyonyi has urged the DPP to initiate investigations that could lead to prosecution.
Can be requested and urged to cause an investigation. And therefore the DPP gets to direct police to carry out investigations. And that's why I have written to the DPP. I'm urging her to cause an investigation, because these are very serious matters that should actually, ultimately, we believe, lead to prosecution, because there's lots of glaring irregularities. But
the allegations include suspicions of billions of shillings being funneled into individual accounts of certain Parliament staff. Senyonyi has implored the Financial Intelligence Authority to pursue these claims.
So on, our hope is that Financial Intelligence Authority, which is empowered by the Anti-Money Laundering Act, we'll dig deep into these issues, because there are clear, glaring issues of money laundering. Billions of shillings onto people's accounts, and then they are withdrawn immediately. What exactly is this money doing?
Senyonyi has expressed concern for members of the public who have come forward with information on social media stating that they are facing threats. He questioned the government's commitment to its proclaimed policy of zero tolerance to corruption. I'm Nafka Farida and Gloria Gwetabenji in Kampala.
Today, science teachers in Kole primary teachers' colleges have announced their decision to initiate industrial action starting from the 3rd of April 2024 against the Ministry of Public Services reduction of their salaries from 4 million to 1.1 million without prior notification. The teachers claim that this reduction began last August, leaving them without their full salaries for the past 8 months.
In 2022, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni instructed the Ministry of Public Service and the Ministry of Education and Sports to increase the salaries of science teachers. However, science tutors teaching in co-primary teachers' colleges have expressed dismay at the reduction of their salaries, with the degree holders seeing a decrease from 4 million to 1.1 million and diploma holders from 2 million shillings to 700,000 shillings.
As early as 2015 when I was appointed. And from then, I have been receiving money and salary in that very scale of U4 science until the government enhanced all scientists. And of course, as my scale on the appointment letter, like all other science tutors, my salary was also enhanced in 2022. Without any notification, on the salary of the month of September 2023, my salary dropped.
Vincent Lau, the chairperson of the Uganda Professional Science Teachers Union, stated that since August last year, science tutors have not received their full salaries, despite engaging with the respective authorities on the matter.
In other words, they have removed them from the science pay. Without, I want to stretch this, without a clear circular, which is illegal and it is an act of injustice. From August, when this last year, 2023, when this was raised, not even a single circular has come out, because salary is only paid through a well-issued circular standing instruction issued by only one officer, that is the permanent secretary, Minister of Public Service.
Aaron Mugaiga, the Secretary General of the Union, mentioned that science tutors are scientists and should be paid their full salaries.
We are calling upon the Minister of Public Service to prevail over the officers who are erroneously deleting these science tutors from the payroll and downgrading their approved pay, because this is putting the image of the education sector and the whole actions into disrepute.
Mugainga emphasized that taking industrial action is now the only way to resolve this matter, as attempts to engage with the Ministry of Public Service have been futile.
Fred!
Osmosis.
Freddy! Fred Doolo, my boss, CEO Inojo, the general of generals, the conqueror of conquerors, the first and the final, the sky above the skies, the promised land, the terms and the conditions, the international king crocodile, the source of the Nile.
I don't have money today.
Just take a polite loan of 200k to stock my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hassle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
Have you packed Maureen's Harbour Jet? Tell me, kids, the scent. Any irritations? No more rashes and irritations. Movit Herbal Jelly and Herbal Soap is rich in natural herbs for a smooth and glowing skin.
Movit All Day Confidence.
The government of Uganda and the Uganda Bureau of Statistics is calling upon all stakeholders such as the chief administrative officers, city mayors, resident city commissioners, city clerks, city and division councillors, wards and LC chairpersons, as well as the residents and business communities to cooperate with the UBOS field teams as we embark on advanced preparations to conduct the National Population and Housing Census on the 10th of May 2024. The census will be a 10-day exercise to obtain statistical data and information that will be used for planning and policy formulation, including information on 1. How many we are, 2. Where we are, 3. How we are living, 4. What we own, and 5. Where we access services from. The Uganda Bureau of Statistics has now started listing of households and mapping in the 11 cities of Arua, Fort Portal, Gulu, Hoima, Jinja, Lira, Mbale, Masaka, Mbarara, Soroti, and in the Greater Kampala comprising of Kampala, Wakiso, and Mukono districts. For more information, please call 0755 342 128 or 0773 342 128. This message is brought to you by the Executive Director and Census Commissioner, Uganda Bureau of Statistics. Census 2024. It matters to be counted.
Are you planning or in the process of traveling abroad for work? Using irregular channels to find and travel for work abroad often seems cheaper and faster, but you risk being trafficked, mistreated, or forced to do work you did not agree to. Using proper channels is safer, offers more protection, and better access to support services when problems arise. Do not be deceived. Choose the proper channels. Always verify all information before traveling abroad for work by contacting the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, your local district labour office or DSOS office. You can also visit EEMIS website on eemis.mglsd.go.ug. This message is brought to you by the International Labour Organization with support from the Government of Switzerland.
Welcome back from that break. We're glad that you're still with us here on UBC News Tonight. I'm Lauryn Masika Kazimoto. Now, in more news this evening, the Prime Minister, Right Honourable Robinah Nabbanja, has handed over the construction of Luweero General Hospital to the UPDF Engineers Brigade for quality and timely works. This follows the delayed completion of the hospital, whose construction began in 2012-2013 financial year, but has dragged on. We have the details.
The Premier, while handing over the facility to the UPDF Engineers Brigade, says the President decided to bring on board the UPDF so that work is done in time and good quality. Nabbanja says that UPDF has helped government to save money when they produced world-class works at Entebbe International Airport when the country was preparing to host NAM G77 plus China.
Today is the day, and I feel proud that today we have come for two reasons. One, to check on service delivery, to check on how our people are receiving health services in this hospital, and two, to launch the construction and completion of this structure.
Nabbanja cautioned health workers against absenteeism and moonlighting despite the government efforts to enhance the salaries of health workers.
Value for money. Kakati abantu bosanze omu mutufu wali wagenda pozi bwe yagala atunde kibanja wali wasobola okusasula emitwalo 2 bamulongoosa. Mbuuza bubuuza wano bagala ate nno mwe muli babbeeyi mitwalo 5.
Victoria Rusoke, the State Minister for Local Government, assured the people of Luweero that government will address all issues regarding service delivery in Luweero.
I think you qualify
So keep your fingers crossed, work doubly hard, justify why you think you are mature enough to be a municipality, show us your tax base and other developments, and when the waiver is off, then we shall give you. Our role is for cabinet to pass and the minister will implement.
Dr. Henry Mwebesa, the Director of Health Services in the Ministry of Health, appealed to health workers to serve diligently. Mwebesa assured the people of Luwero that government will deliver a new X-ray machine for better services.
You find a doctor not covering emergencies at night and even on weekends, and our mothers, we are losing our mothers for people whose salaries have been increased. So really, what is the excuse? And Right Honorable Prime Minister, we have so many health workers on the street. And me have been saying this everywhere. If somebody thinks he's not satisfied with our services, is not satisfied with our salary, then they get out.
Colonel Godfrey Tukamwakira of the UPDF Engineers Brigade says that they are ready to start work and will be complete in 9 months only.
Tukubade bakoyi okuulira development zebatulaga obaggulu n'obalagawa naye nga wano ekigavumenti we yava ng'ebintu ebyo tebinnajja naye kasita tutandiseeko tulina essuubi tiwano bwe tuva ku ddwaliro administration block yaffe naye ejja kubeera ng'ekoleddwa tugambye health centers busuumusibwe ate ne tusaba n'ekisemberayo ddala President Museveni kyera nakyo kye yatusuubiza Bukasa.
The Prime Minister later in the day inspected ongoing roadworks for the upgrade of Luwero-Butalangu 29.72-kilometer road from gravel to paved standard by DOT services. Nabanja expressed concern that road construction is behind schedule and asked the contractor to double efforts to have work done, which is estimated to cost over 93 billion shillings.
And the commission of the construction of this road, it is almost a year since when we commissioned the road, so we request you to move a little faster.
Kembat Kaganzi, the manager DOT services, says that work is progressing well despite some delays. Notable was one traditional herbalist who was refused the valued compensation and wants over 500 million shillings to relocate his shrine.
Some bits, that's why you've noticed in some places we do work, then we skip where work has not been done. Then another sections are done. So you find some of those are swamps, others we have sections which are being affected by it.
The Prime Minister also visited Nakaseke General Hospital in her quest to monitor and supervise government service delivery. Nabanja was impressed by the work at the hospital and lauded health workers for their efforts to serve Ugandans.
The medical superintendent cited some of the challenges that we are facing. And Honorable Prime Minister, I know you are a hands-on person. I request you to tackle some of the challenges that we are facing.
The Prime Minister assured the people of Nakaseke that government will address all issues raised, such as low staffing, staff quotas for health workers, renovation of the hospital, irregular supply of drugs and other issues. Shaidat Nasaku, Ismail Kasoha, UBC News.
The National Environmental Management Authority, NEMA, has conducted inspections of the areas affected by the crude oil pipeline across 10 districts in the Bunyoro region. Led by NEMA Executive Director Dr. Akankwasa, the purpose of the inspection was to ensure that the East African crude oil pipeline project has met all the licensing conditions concerning the livelihoods of the affected individuals. We have the details.
The 10 districts affected by the pipeline include Hoima, Chikube, Mubende, Gomba, Luengo, Sembabole, Masindi, and others. The assessment conducted by NEMA aimed at verifying whether the licensing conditions for the East African crude pipeline have been met prior to the commencement of the project.
We didn't do a sharp 90 degrees. You can see that so this is an allowed spend.
The holes that go into the pipe are 1.5 kilometres long, so we will leave a gap at every 1.5 kilometres.
These licensing conditions include the relocation and construction of houses for the affected persons, as well as provision of public facilities such as schools, water sources, and roads. Dr. Akankwasa Varirega confirmed that the licensing conditions regarding the livelihoods of affected persons have been largely fulfilled.
There is actually net social gain
That's the beauty of this project that you can see. Project did not only address the impacts, but it provided benefits beyond the impact.
Another condition involved ensuring the safety of wildlife by constructing a crossing bridge for animals like chimpanzees in the affected forest zones. The bridge will facilitate wildlife movement from activity areas to their habitat in Bugoma Forest.
Here we have chimpanzees, but we're not going through, and on Tala we have a forest, but we're going through it. So we have identified an offset site, which is Champisi Forest Reserve, is in Mulende. Good enough, it has chimpanzee. So we're offsetting Tala, but also adding some biodiversity gain on the chimpanzee.
Dr. Barirega urged National Forest Authority to plant more indigenous trees in these areas to support wildlife and enhance the forest cover.
NFA is a government agency, the land is government. You have an opportunity to do afforestation using indigenous species. You have an opportunity to restore fully the corridor itself.
NEMA officials were also accompanied by the representatives from the East African Crude Oil Pipeline Project, including Dr. John Habumugisha, the Deputy Managing Director, as well as other government officials.
The most critical element about Pump Station 1, it is the starting point of the ECOP, but also feeds into the Uganda refinery.
There will be complete preservation of our environment with this project. Yes, we are.
The initial stage of Uganda's pumping oil refinery is located at Kilometer 0 in Nyamasoga, Hoima district. This is where Uganda's oil will be fed into the main pipeline from Tilenga and Kingfisher wells. The civil works of the project are being carried out by the National Enterprise Corporation. The total cost of the oil pipeline project is estimated to cost $750 million. Susan Naonga reporting for EBC TV.
UBC News Tonight takes a very short break, but we return after these messages.
Fred!
Osmosis.
Freddy! Fred Doolo, my boss, CEO Inojo, the general of generals, the conqueror of conquerors, the first and the final, the sky above the skies, the promised land, the terms and the conditions, the international king crocodile, the source of the Nile.
I don't have money today.
Just take a polite loan of 200K to stock my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hassle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're so tingy. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
Attention everyone, the Ministry of Health has planned to vaccinate all persons aged 1 year to 60 years old to protect them against yellow fever disease. The mass vaccination will take place in 53 districts in these regions: Kampala, Buganda, Teso, Ankole and Karamoja. Vaccination is free and available at all government health facilities and outreach posts in these regions. The vaccination campaign will take place from April 2nd to April 8th, 2024. The vaccine is safe, effective and free of charge and has been approved by World Health Organization and Ministry of Health. This message is from Ministry of Health with support from Gavi.
Welcome back from that break, and now into the business scene. President Yoweri Museveni's long-term for Africa to have its own investment bank has been fueled by the discussions held today by Uganda's top financial players, featuring Deputy Governor, Bank of Uganda, National Planning Authority, Financial Intelligence Authority, Insurance, and among others. The chairperson, National Planning Authority, Professor Pamela Mbabazi, concurs with the head of State House Investors Protection Unit that time is ripe for East Africa and Africa as a whole to craft and implement the idea of establishment of our own indigenous bank.
And we need a domestic bank or an African bank, but we want Uganda to lead, because this is what those that are already on board are saying. His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda should be the main flag bearer of this African bank.
The chairperson of the National Planning Authority, Professor Pamela Mbabas, aligns with the sentiments expressed by the head of the State House Investors Protection Unit, emphasizing the opportune moment for East Africa and the continent as a whole to conceptualize and implement the establishment of our own indigenous bank.
Some of us are not very familiar with this concept, but we're willing to unlearn and learn and see how we really solve this issue of mobilizing indigenous Ugandan sort of patient capital that can fund us. But also the other component the private sector presents is to formulate an African investment bank. For a very long time, as the African continent, as African countries, we've relied on foreign capital. This is a momentous time to start a discussion, a conversation, to see as Africa, as Uganda, as East Africa, how do we begin working together to mobilize this money required to enable us establish an African investment bank.
Professor Mbabas asserts that creating an indigenous bank with favorable interest rates will revolutionize the financial landscape, mitigating the high interest rates typically incurred by African countries when borrowing from foreign entities.
It is our duty as government to strengthen local private sector to lead growth. And Travaco is coming round as one of these, indigenous private sector to try and mobilize us to really develop our financial value chain. NPA did a study to understand the challenges of high capital in this country. And one of the challenges we identified was really relying on foreign capital. We need to find a solution, a model that can help Ugandans save for investment.
I've spent over 25 years working in 4 financial centers, and in all these areas I've worked in Asia, Europe, North America, and now Africa. So the experience we are bringing is very, very valuable. But I have to say this, there is also still a lot of learning on our side. Nothing is perfect, but this is a new direction that Asia has used, UAE has used, so many countries have used the creation of indigenous patient capital to create new prosperity.
So the combination of asset management and in situ minerals can allow us to finance our projects beyond debt and equity, beyond budgetary constraints. So we are not poor. The value we have in the ground and the knowledge we can mobilize can allow us to finance a lot of our projects, but we need a new approach. And this is how Malaysia jumped out of the terrible problem we are in.
Crispus Arinitwe, UBC News.
And in the world of sports, Uganda's trip to the belated 2023 African Games is turning into a feisty one, with the medal haul increasing on a daily. Our reporter has the details.
Uganda's medal count at the African Games has grown to 15, with 2 gold medals added from the rugby men and women that have topped their groups. This, to National Council of Sports General Secretary Dr. Bernard Patrick Ogwell, is a very decent showing at the Games thus far and has been achieved through a number of interventions.
Uganda is doing well because we are now doing so many things right. One, the federations are getting better organized in terms of governance, and they're also putting the athletes at the center of development of the sport. I can see many of the athletes have adequate time of preparation. Secondly, government is committed to infrastructural development, and you can see the planning of council and the action and the prioritization taking place in our budget, and the support of parliament in all these aspects is huge enough for us to say this is the moment for Uganda.
Uganda still has a chance to increase its medal count, with the football girls playing the bronze medal match now, while boxer Muzamiru Semudu, who contests in the light middleweight semi-final later today, is already assured and only awaits the color. Victory in the semi will ascend him to either silver or gold. Uganda's under-20 boys team is in the gold medal match. that it plays on Friday against Ghana. The cricket cranes that have lost to Namibia in the semis are also lined up for a bronze medal game against Kenya.
No, definitely we lose games, we lose cricket games, but the manner which we lost this game today is not acceptable.
UBC News Tonight has come to an end, but do join us for our second edition at 10 o'clock. Up next is You Health Chat with Sophia Matovu. I'll see you at 10.